Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Balaba Girivanadari Jaya Gopijana Balaba Girivanadari Jaya Yasoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana Yasoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Banachari Jamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopijana Balaba Girivanadari Jaya Gopi Jaya Gopijana Balaba Girivanadari Yasoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana Yasoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana Yasoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Banachari Jamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parvacakacharya Asutaraswata C.C. Maharaj's Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga, glories to Srila Prabhupada. Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Śrī Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Śrī Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. So today's reading from Śrī Chaitanya Charitamrita, the Adi-lila, chapter 4, text 9. Kintu kṛṣṇera haya avatāra-kāla bhāra-haraṇa-kāla tāte ha-ila miśāla kintu kṛṣṇera haya avatāra-kāla bhāra-haraṇa-kāla tāte ha-ila miśāla kintu kṛṣṇera haya avatāra-kāla bhāra-haraṇa-kāla tāte ha-ila miśāla. Kintu kṛṣṇera haya avatāra-kāla
bhāra-haraṇa-kāla tāte ha-ila miśāla.
Kintu kṛṣṇera haya avatāra-kāla bhāra-haraṇa-kāla tāte ha-ila miśāla. Ladies. Kintu kṛṣṇera haya avatāra-kāla bhāra-haraṇa-kāla tāte ha-ila miśāla. miśāla. Kintu kṛṣṇera haya avatāra-kāla bhāra-haraṇa-kāla tāte ha-ila miśāla. Kintu, but Kṛṣṇera, of Lord Kṛṣṇa, yea, that which haya is avatāra, of incarnation, kāla, the time, bhāra-haraṇa, of taking away the burden, kāla, the time, tāte, in that, ha-ila, there was, miśāla, mixture. Translation: but the time to lift the burden of the world mixed with the time for Lord Kṛṣṇa's incarnation. Purport: we have information from the Bhagavad-Gītā that the Lord appears at particular intervals to adjust a time-worn spiritual culture. Lord Śrī Kṛṣṇa appeared at the end of Dvāpara-yuga to regenerate the spiritual culture of human society and also to manifest his transcendental pastimes. Viṣṇu is the authorized Lord who maintains the created cosmos, and he is also the principal deity who makes adjustments when there is improper administration in the cosmic creation. But Śrī Kṛṣṇa, being the primeval Lord, appears not in order to make such administrative adjustments, but only to exhibit his transcendental pastimes, and thus attract the fallen souls back home, back to Godhead. However, the time for administrative rectification and the time for Lord Śrī Kṛṣṇa's appearance coincided at the end of the last Dvāpara-yuga. Therefore, when Śrī Kṛṣṇa appeared, Viṣṇu, the Lord of maintenance, merged with him, because all the plenary portions and parts of the absolute personality of Godhead merge with him during his appearance. Can repeat the translation. But the time to lift the burden of the world mixed with the time for Lord Kṛṣṇa's incarnation. Amaganatamadandasya gananchana salakaya chakshulin malatam jaina tasmai Śrī Gurave namaha Sri Chaitanya manobistam stapitam jaina bhutale svayavarbha gadamayam dadati svapatandikam panchakopa tirubhishta kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam bhavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha jaya Śrī Kṛṣṇa Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So these verses in this chapter, of course, all dealing with the Lord's coming, and also it's describing when he comes. Here it says Lord Viṣṇu, but all the incarnations, they come along when the Lord appears. And it's saying it was at this juncture, both the Lord wanting to appear and the Kali-yuga coming. He comes to reestablish religious principles, very necessary as Kali-yuga approaches. I was thinking how the Lord used to appear. I don't know, I mentioned some time ago, it was 14 years ago, when my wife at that time, she died of cancer. And she went out of consciousness, external consciousness, for some time, long time. She had a very high fever, 41, 42 degrees. Anyway, when she came back into consciousness, the first thing she said was, "I'm relevant." She said, "I'm relevant." She never thought she was relevant. She was a devotee since 1970. For 50 years was a devotee. This material world, very difficult place. Very difficult place to understand our own situation, how others see us, how we see others. Most important, how the Lord sees us. And that she got to actually realize. It was a realization. She came back saying, "I'm relevant." She said, "Because Krishna loves me." Actually, all this reading we do, all this kirtan we do, material world, very difficult. So many people, that's what they think. I'm not lovable. This is the position in the material world. Everyone's striving so hard for one thing, to be loved and to love. It's described, Krishna appears, same reason. He wants to understand. She loves me. She loves me so much. Srimati Radharani, so much love for me. I can't even understand that, the position of Srimati Radharani. This is essence of why he appears. As it said, killing the demons, no big deal. That also he does for the pleasure of his devotees. That I got to see personally with Srila Prabhupada, reading to him from Krishna book. seeing Srila Prabhupada in ecstasy. One of the reasons the Lord appears, for the pleasure of his devotees. My wife said at that time, when she came back, she said, if Krishna didn't love us, why would he give us so many books? So many books. All these books, so many books Srila Prabhupada translated. I always say one of my first amazements was seeing Prabhupada reading his books. We stress this so much, read the books. Prabhupada would say, distribute the books, but also you have to read the books. And that I saw with Srila Prabhupada all the time, reading his books. How much he understood the importance of these books. A few days ago, last week, Gopal Krishna Maharaj's Vyas Puja Day. Somehow or other, I went to Delhi for that. I was invited and others were there, so I went. Of course, it was very wonderful. Why is he so wonderful? He distributed so many books, probably millions of books. Just yesterday, I went to Govardhan Retreat Center. 200 young boys, young men, all around 20 years old. They're all coming from reading Prabhupada's books, from hearing from people that have read Srila Prabhupada's books. So important. Prabhupada continued to read his books in ecstasy. I've told so many times a story of him calling me into his room. He was in ecstasy. Imagine, just to bring me in to say, this book is so nice. This is when one has love for Krishna. Talks about the difference, lust and love. So the other day, we went to Rohini Temple, but we also went to this place, very special place. I just forgot the name of it. Yes, Chippiwada. Went to the Chippiwada Temple. Another wonderful service by Gopal Krishna Maharaj. He acquired that place. We bought that place. Very nice temple. Actually, it's a residence. Prabhupada stayed there. He called it his office. He wrote 2 pages in the guest directory Prabhupada wrote and signed it as himself, preacher of Sanatana Dharma, Krishna consciousness. But he stayed there actually a long time, not a minor place in our society, this Chippiwada temple. At one point he stayed there for 6 months. 6 months straight he stayed there. He called his home Radha Damodar Temple. He said, my home is Vrindavan, Radha Damodar Temple, and my office was in Delhi, Chippiwada. This place is described by different devotees. Very, very wall-to-wall people it was at that time. It was the publishing district. Printers, typesetters, paper, everything you wanted to publish, books was there. So Prabhupada somehow or other, he found that place tucked away, a little alleyway. His room was on the first floor, directly above the deities. The deities, again, this was a house. But the wife wanted deities. Her husband, 125 years ago, had these Radha Krishna deities made. Very beautiful. Krishna, they're marble. Well, he's not marble. Actually, he's black. He's not granite. He's not marble. He's touchstone. Like touchstone, is that what they call? They have the black stone that you use to test gold, the purity of gold. How many carat? 24, 20. So just by rubbing the gold along this black stone, you'll see, and then you can tell the purity of the gold. And this stone, very, very hard, very solid, very hard. This is what Krishna was made out of, that stone. And next to him is Radharani, white marble. She looks very, very young. She looks very young, very sweet. So these were the deities Prabhupada would worship when he was there. Upstairs, regular sitting place like we see everywhere, like we see here in Vrindavan, little desk in front. And next to him is a little pyramid. What do they call that? It's made out of stone. It's where the deity, it's on this side. So the deity was literally right there underneath Prabhupada. So of course there's a monument there, marble, so no one steps in that area. So that was Prabhupada. He was right above Radha Krishna. He became friends, as devotee does, friends of everyone. So many children were there at that time when he was there. 1960 to 1965, he would go there back and forth from Vrindavan. And there were, of course, people in their 20s, 30s, but there were youngsters there, 5 years old, 8 years old, 10 years old. So one of my god sisters, she interviewed all the different people that were there, and they were talking about Srila Prabhupada when he stayed there. His only desire was to go to the USA with his books, bring his books, Krishna, Krishna in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam. They said he would at times carry the paper on his head himself. He had no assistance. He had little children, they would come, and they all, every one of them, Prabhupada gave them a pet name. He didn't use their name, he gave everybody a little name. Little pretty girl this and this boy, and everyone. But to everyone, he was like father, like grandfather. And they called him the Bengali Swami. Because he's in Delhi. He's this little Bengali Swami staying very quietly in his place all day long. He said they would see him. They got him a typewriter, 30 rupees. One finger, Prabhupada would use one finger in his typing. And then he would have to go to all the different places. He would go to the printer, he would go to the paper place, the typesetting place. This is what he would do whenever he was in Delhi. To see that this Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, say most important, Prabhupada said first canto, everything, he told me right in Radha Damodar temple, everything needed, he said, to become Krishna conscious is in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, in his purports. He said, I didn't know if I would get anything else done. So immediately we know that's what he did, first canto. He said, everything is there. Such a wonderful canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. And we know from the Lilamrita, so hot, he would be there in the summer. Finally one day even passed out. Worked so hard to give us Krishna. Krishna comes, he comes on his own when he wants, does what he wants, brings everyone with him, all his associates. But then as it's described, whenever there is difficulty, he also sends his representatives. Srila Prabhupada came at a very important time. I look back and I see over 50 years how important it is that Srila Prabhupada has come during this Kali-yuga. Everywhere you go, people are chanting. Everywhere. That determination. Here it was 1974. Talk about Prabhupada when he was here for over a month. For 2 weeks he didn't eat. But he was determined, travel 14 times around the world, get his books printed. So after he was sick, many of the leaders, they were here. So Prabhupada would always saying, "I want time to translate. One time to translate these books. Most important." So one day all the GBCs, sannyasis, they all met. And they decided to go to Srila Prabhupada. They wanted to present to him their ability to manage this ISKCON society. That was Prabhupada's baby, ISKCON. He says, "My body." ISKCON is his body. What is BBT? Heart. Yes. The body. BBT is his very heart. Keeps the body running. Without the heartbeat, body's finished. Prabhupada stressed all the time distributing his books. He said, if in the temple you distribute books, everything will be there. Over the decades, different temples, especially in the West, so many methods they tried to make money. Prabhupada said, from the beginning, all I did was sell my books. Right? We know he came off the boat, off the Jaladuta. He had literally nothing of use. Just like now, it's the same. If I go to the USA and I bring my rupees with me, no one will change them. You can't go to a bank and say, "Give me dollars for these rupees." Only devotee. You have to go to a temple. Find someone going to India to change your money. So that's when Prabhupada came to America. Same thing, no money. Even he had 40 rupees, he says. But then he had the captain buy his books. That was his first money, selling books. That's the example, selling Prabhupada's books. So they came into Prabhupada's room one day. This is, now he's recovering from his illness. And they were very happy, his disciples, happy and proud, because they had come to a conclusion. Their conclusion was, Prabhupada, we'll manage ISKCON. We'll manage ISKCON for you now. We can do it. You're training us for so long. So this is the pitch. We call it the pitch they made to Prabhupada. We'll manage ISKCON. You'll just translate your books. No more headaches. Prabhupada looked at them like they were crazy. He said, "Who are you to tell me when I can and cannot manage this society?" He said, "Who are you?" He said, "This is my society." We have to be very careful. Understand who this society belongs to, who this temple. It can't be more clear than here in Vrindavan. Prabhupada says, "This is my home." It means it's his home, not my home. Becomes home, we become follower, son, That's what I tell people. I say, I live in Vrindavan, it's my home. Prabhupada told me, it's my home. But it's his home. The books are his books. This ISKCON society, as he said, you don't tell me when to stop managing. Like he said to me, you don't tell me when to stop massage. I tell you massage until I tell you to stop. Very informative of everything with Srila Prabhupada. A pure devotee, every move they make for Krishna, every word they say is in Krishna consciousness. And we glorify the acharyas, we glorify the mahajans, we glorify the pure devotees, because that's all they do, is repeat what Krishna says, repeat what the devotees say, the mahajans say. This is a qualification. So he told them without any doubt, I'll manage this society, to the very day he left. And then he just kept telling us, just cooperate. Just cooperate with one another. Try to push on this society. despite any of your personal feelings, personal agenda, distribute books. We just had Bhadra Purnima this month, very special month we see for distributing books. I see Gopal Krishna Maharaj, he was given that ability to purchase that temple, Chipawada temple. Such a sweet place where Prabhupada struggled by himself. His rent there, anyone know what his rent there? Take a wild guess. 2 rupees. 2 rupees a month. And sometimes his friend, he would have to pay the 2 rupees. Prabhupada didn't have 2 rupees to pay the rent. It's described, he would literally go to different houses to eat, different grahastha residents, just as it's described. Sannyasi, huh? Sannyasi, early stages. He went door to door. He didn't have a kitchen set up in there, Radha Damodar. He had a kitchen. And Prabhupada was very fond of nice prasadam. But he stayed there. He was completely at the mercy, whoever Krishna sent to take care. This is a nice room. They said the streets were so crowded, walking, everyone, just wall-to-wall people everywhere. It's still like that there. Hasn't changed much, just 50 years older than it looked when Prabhupada was there. But he did it all for us, for all of us. Just like Krishna comes for his devotees. Prabhupada came, make devotees. Such a position, Srila Prabhupada. As time goes by, more and more I see his humility. Due to his humility, it seems like sometimes we don't understand just the greatness of Srila Prabhupada. Like we know, he said when, say it was Prajumna asked him, your Swarup, and Prabhupada said, I heard 2 things. Once he said, if I tell you, I'll have to kill you. And the other said, if I tell you, you'll faint. Anyway, his position, which he kept very much private. Always say that. Towards the end also, but even that can't be there. We know Prabhupada's final months, we hear different things, so much emotion, no longer even had control, lover of Krishna. And even though he had no necessity to apologize to anyone for anything, what did he do as a Vaishnava? He asked forgiveness from his wife, from his godbrothers, from everyone. This is Vaishnava. But we could understand he did it as a Vaishnava. Everything he did, he said, was perfect. I was at that program, Govardhan, 200 young men, and all wanting to be preachers, all wanting to preach, all wanting to distribute Prabhupada's books. 200 more just there. And they're everywhere. This youth is everywhere. Sometimes I feel a little, well, maybe I'll be back anyway, to see what happens as this ISKCON society progresses. And it will progress. Everywhere, sincere devotees. Prabhupada has that ability to make pure devotees. We see them amongst us. And it's going to increase more and more. These divisions will be there more and more. We'll see what's right, what's wrong in society. When Prabhupada I was traveling with him, I thought, well, this is what society is like. No, it changed. It's gotten worse and worse. So important his appearance. So important his books. We know he said, what can you say in 3 minutes? Once someone said about the necessity of distributing his books. He said, what can you say in 3 minutes to someone? Who are you going to convince? But to give him a book, change a person's life. So this was Prabhupada. Every part of this society, the heart BBT, but everything that was going on, he was going to see as long as he was here. Everything would go on nicely. Krishna consciousness would go on. So that was back in 74. So it was 3 more years. No one ever asked him again, we'll take over management. It wasn't the first time. It happened because Prabhupada would make statements. Prabhupada could make statements, we could say there were exaggerations, I guess. When he said, I've been ringing this bell for 100 years. I know I wasn't in my room for 100 years. But he would say that. So he had a way of emphasizing things. And he would say things that could just, you think, oh, we can't do that. I told you, my big happy one was 1972. He didn't like the life members. They weren't being treated properly, weren't being given the books they were promised. He said, we're going to leave India. I believed him. He wasn't going to leave India. But it was a way of letting you know how important a certain service was. It's so important. If you don't do this properly, I'm leaving. That's what he would say. I'm leaving here. I'm leaving India, never to come back. And I thought, good. But he was just saying that. Nothing could fail in his presence. I told you, I finally saw it. I know you were waiting for me to say, Prabhupada's passport. They had a picture of Prabhupada's passport, his front page, his photo page. And we were all looking, Radhanath Maharaj and I were looking, and I'm reading every line. And it had his height, but didn't have anything in there. Which you can. How can you measure pure devotee, right? You can't measure pure, say he's this tall. But then it said, any defining marks. What did it say? It listed. No, not the mole. Mole back here. On the face. It said he has a scar on his face. Any of you see Prabhupada's scar? I would see it every day. I would see Prabhupada's scar on his face, a scar on his thigh. So I saw it. It said, a scar on his face. Radhanath, I said, do you know that scar? I've told this story. Prabhupada told me it in Juhu. That scar. It was when he was out with his father. And what did his father buy him? A gun. He wanted a gun. Prabhupada said, my father, he said, he favored me very much. Prabhupada was very happy, very proud to say, his father loved him very much. Pure devotee of Krishna, his father. He said, everything I imbibed from my father. But when he asked his father for a second gun, he said, 2 hands, 2 guns. His father wouldn't get it, didn't think it was necessary. He said, and Prabhupada got very upset. And again, he said, I want another gun. And his father wouldn't get it for him. So then, 3 times, I want another gun. His father wouldn't do it. So he said, I laid down on the ground, banging my hands and banging my head on the ground. It's like 6 years old. He said, that scar is from that time. This is the person who is saving the entire world. He needed a gun for each hand. A lot of demons. He had a lot of demons to kill. Demoniac mentality. Prabhupada was, you need a gun for both hands. It was only proper. If he would have had 4 hands, he would have wanted 4 guns to take care of everyone. Mayapur, Prabhupada once said, he said, you can say anything you want, just don't put it in writing. Then he said, if we could, he said, we would kill all the demons. He said, but we're killing their demoniac mentality. Lord Chaitanya purifying everyone with the Hare Krishna mantra. Scar? And it's a big scar. It wasn't a little scar. Prabhupada banged his head on the ground. Whatever he wanted, he would get. And we saw that. Chippiwada there for years, just to print these books by himself. Everything by himself, and then going out and selling them by himself in every condition. All until he finally came to the USA, saved the whole world. As Prabhu say, Savior of the whole world, Srila Prabhupada. Savior of the whole world. And it'll continue. He made that point 10,000 years. In his books, he said 10,000 years. So it's always most important thing. Everything he would say most important. But the distribution of these books, this Bhagavatam, so wonderful. Can save everyone. So we have some time. Everyone very quiet the last few days here in the temple room. If anyone has any questions, our temple president, he's at Radha Govinda temple, Rukmini Bihar giving class. They get this many devotees there. I was there last week, week before. They fill the temple room with devotees there. As soon as Krishna is there, everyone will come. This is Vrindavan. Any questions? Raj?
Just a quick point. You mentioned that it was Chippewa. That's where I was born.
No. You were born? Huh. What year?
56.
So you got Prabhupada's mercy there. Must have gotten Prabhupada's mercy. He's very kindly. Prabhupada describes in one purport, the smile of the pure devotee is so sweet just by seeing it. Just by seeing that smile of a pure devotee, people become happy. They become satisfied just by seeing that smile. Yeah. But that's very wonderful. So you know that place. Chatirtha. It's very much a tirtha, that place. We felt there, we spent time there for arati with the deities, Prabhupada's rooms. Another wonderful place Prabhupada's given to us. Yes. Yes, Madhava Prabhu.
Krishna comes to reestablish Dharma, but he came at the end of the Treta and Dvāpara-yuga first. So after his disappearance of Kali-yuga, which Rama is eroding, but then Lord Chaitanya appears to reestablish Dharma. So is it because Lord Chaitanya was going to come, and Krishna spoke about the Bhagavad-Gīta before the appearance of Kali?
Was it?
Because Lord Chaitanya was going to come. So he gave us the Bhagavad-Gīta, even though in normally Kali-yuga is good material.
Well, that's what it says, secondary reasons. And Lord Chaitanya, he came to understand Radharani's love, to understand the mood of Srimati Radharani. Everything, just like Srila Prabhupada came, Krishna doesn't have to come to reestablish religious principles. Again, that's what Srila Prabhupada did. So, like you say, Krishna came, and then Lord Chaitanya came, and we have the Acharyas, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, Srila Prabhupada. But they're all presenting Bhagavad-Gīta. Bhagavad-Gīta as it is, and of course, Srimad Bhagavatam. So they present Krishna's words. That's what Prabhupada always said. Everything is Krishna. Everything's Krishna dictation. So as recently as 50 years ago, pure devotee of the Lord came, changed the whole world that recently. So we've been very fortunate in Kali Yuga, right? And it's said in Kali Yuga it's fortunate because just by chanting Hare Krishna, which Lord Chaitanya introduced, Prabhupada said the same thing. 500 years later, he went to America. All he did was sit under a tree and chant Hare Krishna. He said he didn't speak. He chanted, danced, they distributed prasadam. Gradually, so slowly. Prabhupada was so expert when I see how he very carefully spoon-fed everyone. You know, you see that the little birds, you know, the little sparrows and the mother just spoon-feeding, they're just waiting. You know, Prabhupada did that with everyone. They had no idea what was ahead. They thought just nice evening program, eat a little bit, maybe smoke a little bit before you go in. They had no idea. That's why Prabhupada said crooked. Pure devotees crooked. You're thinking it's just like this, but then he shows you. Surrender to Krishna. Have to surrender. So Krishna says surrender. This pure devotee says surrender. Same thing, surrender to Krishna. As Prabhupada would say, not to me, but to Krishna. Devotee, any devotee wants to see that the whole world is saved. So that was the process from Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Then we see his son, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, 64 mats within India, all that leading up to Srila Prabhupada traveling, coming to the West. And traveling like no one ever traveled before, to see that he could give Krishna consciousness, to put his lotus feet. Prabhupada knew his abilities. Prabhupada knew what pure devotee was capable of doing. Just like he says he joined there in Chippiwada, just like thousands of devotees in Russia. I believe very firmly they all had Prabhupada's association one way or another while he was there, walking, talking, chanting. It's all through Srila Prabhupada. For us, everything is coming by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, and it will continue in that way. Our business is to be pure, not have an agenda. Just want to serve spiritual master. I see Prabhupada years before coming to America. From the time he left home, it was struggle. Every day was a struggle. But he was happy. He was happy in that, doing his service for the satisfaction of his spiritual master. He was very happy. I had a class with Kazakhstan devotees yesterday morning. And it was about Lord Nrsingadev, Prahlad Maharaj, Hiranyakashipu. See, devotees struggle. Prahlad Maharaj, they down there getting hot oil poured, so many different things. It wasn't that he's pure devotee, everything was easy. Although they consider everything easy, because they can just serve Krishna. Prabhupada was always satisfied in serving his spiritual master. That has to become the pleasure. We'll go on here, you'll see the coming verses. Prabhupada talks about love and lust, more about all the incarnations coming with Krishna. So all that will be discussed as it goes on.
Yes. So we have some theoretical knowledge, and also we have practical realizations. So in between those, like jnana and vijnana, this distance is kind of painful. So maybe you have some suggestions how to deal with that.
How to deal with?
Like we have vijnana
Yes.
and jnana.
Yes.
And this distance is kind of painful. It's always some distance.
My experience has been that if you follow the process, you actually get glimpses of Vijnana there, how Krishna does his part. Like we say, you take one step towards Krishna, he takes 10 towards you. So, from my own experience, anyway, what I've experienced, if I'm engaged in service, if everything I do is service, the responsibility goes to Krishna. And he takes care. But if I go out on my own, I'm left to my own devices to take care of myself, to provide for myself, my family, whatever it is. But if engaged in service, you know everything is going to happen. And that you'll experience more and more as time goes by if you follow the process. Long time ago in Radha Damodar temple, Hayagriva said to Prabhupada that not feeling inspired in devotional service, even though he's reading so many things, so much knowledge is there. And Prabhupada said very simply, he said, you have to see what it is you're not doing. Because if you follow everything, the result will be there. That's what he said, result will be there. So you have to see what it is you're not doing that you should be doing. Or conversely, what you are doing that you shouldn't be doing. Because if you follow the process, Prabhupada says, everything will be there. And that I've experienced, that you don't have to worry. That's what Prabhupada would say, chant Hare Krishna and be happy. That means there's no need to worry about my situation. How am I going to eat? How am I going to sleep? How all these things. He said, if Krishna gives a bed, we sleep in the bed. If he doesn't, we sleep on the floor. So see, everything, it comes on us to understand and to execute in that way. And initially, of course, it's all practice. Practice. Prabhupada said everything we're practicing. But at some point you could see that your practice has fruits, has results. And I see people understand that. You know, I have God brothers, God sisters, others. They understand, as all I have to do is do my service. That's when it becomes Vijnana. When you see the result, just as it's described, it will be there. And I see it requires faith. But faith increases. It's not just blind. It becomes realized. That's what realized. Does that make any sense? Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, for the wonderful class. 500 years ago, it was predicted, and it has been mentioned in Chaitanya Bhagavad, in Bengali it is, Jodi Papi Desh Thari Onno Deshe Jai, তথাপি মোর সেনাপতি ভক্ত যাবে তথা। It means if the sinners leave India and go to the foreign countries, my commander-in-chief Bhakta will go there and deliver them. In Chaitanya Bhagavad.
My Bhakta will go there and what?
My commander-in-chief,
Yes.
devotee, will go into the foreign lands and will deliver them.
Yes.
The sinners.
Yes.
So I was really astonished that Prabhupada appeared almost 100 years ago, but it has been predicted 500 years ago, and I
Yes.
found it in Chaitanya Bhagavad.
Oh, very good.
So as you have said that sometimes Lord doesn't come personally, but He sends His representatives
Yes.
to deliver the fallen souls and to re-establish the religion,
Yes.
or the religious principles.
Yes, very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Very nice. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you.